Hello, everyone. I'm Pat Patterson. Welcome to Darlington International Dragway for today's running of the IHRA All-Pro Winter Nationals. We've got a great group of cars assembled here on ESPN, and you will get an opportunity to see all 12 of these IHRA events here on Speed World on ESPN. The man who's working alongside me in the broadcast booth throughout this season is no stranger to the world of drag racing, John Lundberg. And, John, I guess two big stories here. Billy Meyer takes over the reins of the International Hot Rod Association, and all the records that have been completely thrown out the window here at Darlington.
Pat, you're exactly right. What Billy Meyer has brought to the sport of drag racing is a massive injection of professionalism. That professionalism has manifested itself in the track preparation here. In just one aspect of this race held at Darlington International Dragway, which accepts only one major drag racing event a year. The result of that is a brand new record in top fuel eliminator for low elapsed time of 5.196 seconds by 87 world champion Gene Snow. In funny car eliminator, quickest qualifier ever at 5.405 seconds is Trip Shoemake driving the cheap auto parts Oldsmobile. And in pro stock eliminator, the field is led by Bob Glidden at 7.376 seconds. Each field the quickest and tightest ever. Now let's meet the third member of our 1988 ESPN IHRA drag race announcing team. To the end of the track, and Brett Kepner.
Well, as you stated, it has been an incredible event so far, but just as impressive as the elapsed times that were turned in qualifying were the speeds these machines were running. In the top fuel dragster ranks, Joe Amato became the first man ever to break the 280-mile-per-hour barrier in IHRA competition with an incredible pass of 281 miles an hour. In funny car eliminator, 271.90 miles per hour by Kenny Bernstein, the Budweiser King Buick Riata. He's looking for a new national record. In pro stock, Ricky Smith at 191 miles an hour. Even the top alcohol funny cars, 225 miles per hour flat by Bob Newberry, the defending world champion. These kind of performances are going to continue. As you said, this racetrack is prepared beyond belief.
This IHRA Drag Racing Special is brought to you by Quaker State. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will. And by Anheuser-Busch, makers of Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. And by Motorcraft, quality parts for quality cars. And by Goodyear Eagle Tires. Goodyear, because there really is a difference. We'll be back to Darlington International Dragway for today's IHRA action right after this.
Speed. For some, it's life. Racing is in the blood. To win, all parts must work to perfection. Last year, the Motorcraft team won 4 world championships with the same Motorcraft parts you can buy for your car. Motorcraft quality parts from Ford.
You'll find spark plug wires like these on racing engines all over the world. The Moroso Blue Max Spiral Core spark plug wire. Racing engine builders know that Blue Max Spiral Core delivers full voltage to the plugs without static interference. But what does that mean for your car? Blue Max Spiral Core, plug wires from Moroso, race-proven.
You can hear the understandable pride when modern brewers talk about the time they spend brewing their beers, or the time they spend lagering them. True, this reflects effort and care. But for Budweiser, some things take even more time. Like waiting for a big beechwood tree to grow from a small beechwood tree. For all the years past, and the years to come. This is the kind of time and the kind of care that go into your beer. Beechwood aged Budweiser.
We're back at Darlington International Dragway. Pat Patterson, John Lundberg, and Brett Kepner for today's first event of the 1988 IHRA season. A great day for drag racing as the sun is shining, a great crowd. And John, up next, we've got the Pro Stock quarterfinals.
Our spectators should remember, Pat, that the lane assignments are placed on the screen as if the viewer were standing behind the starting line. Here we go. Jerry Haas and Tim Neighbors ready to race. They're out, and Jerry Haas is fouled. At the end of the quarter mile, the automatic win will go to Neighbors.
What a great run for Neighbors. Look at the ET that he posted here, John. 7.488, 187.50 miles per hour. That'll put the Lawrenceville, Georgia native in the semifinals.
Warren Johnson's Oldsmobile against Bruce Allen. Rare and Morrison Chevy Beretta. Johnson gets a 200th of a second lead at the start. Now watch what happens at the finish line. Johnson wins.
And a great run for Warren Johnson. 7.462 miles per hour, 186.72. Tough luck for the Levi Garrett pilot. Bruce Allen, Rick Hendrick's car. That's a tough break for him. Back to the line, though, now with the 87th world champion, Ricky Smith.
The King, North Carolina-based Ford Thunderbird pilot has a 707 cubic inch Ford engine in his car. Here's the big block Chevrolet of Mark Clark, based in Cayuga, Indiana. They're ready to drag race. They're in stage. The tree starts its march down green. Out of the chute they go. Ricky Smith in the lead. Now watch that 700 cubic inch Ford start to work. By more than a car length, Smith wins.
That's why he's the world champion. 7.365 miles per hour, 190.67. Now, the next race back at the line, we've got Bob Glidden going against Terry Adams. But interesting enough, on this race, he had to work hard to get here, John.
That's right. Bob Glidden had to work twice to get into the second round. And here's what happened. You'll notice on the right side of your screen, Carlos Gonzalez against Bob Glidden. Now, what happens is, look, it looks like Gonzalez gave Glidden one heck of a hole shot. Not so. As we go back to the starting line, you'll see the Christmas tree malfunction. Now we go back to the starting line. Gonzalez on the right side of your screen. They are staged. The Pro Start tree ignites, and watch the light in Gonzalez lane. It comes on right now, giving him just a bit of a lead over Glidden. A false start. IHRA starter Jim Blakely called the shot. We went back to tape, and they reran the race. Now
we're back again. Glidden's faced with the same situation. He's got to win here.
And again, Gonzalez tries a quick start. This time, the Christmas tree catches him. It's a false start. Glidden cycles into the next round.
What a great run. Whiteland, Indiana's Bob Glidden, his crew chief and family all worked so hard on this car. I know they hated to see him go back to the line again, John, but, you know, that's what you had to do to make this thing work.
Pat, Bob Glidden is a drag racer. He likes to drag race. He likes to win. He's done that. Now climbing out of the Motorcraft Quality Parts Ford Thunderbird, and there to interview him is Brett Kepner.
Well, Bob, a bizarre way to start the day. The rerun, this time around you got him. A red light for Carlos.
Yeah, Brett, the first round, I think they had a discrepancy in the timing equipment. I was sure when we made the run that he left really before the yellow came on. But on the other hand, he had a fair complaint, too. He may well have done that, but the red light didn't come on. So even though I was in the right, he was in the right, too. I think for the first time in all of my 20-some years of racing, Billy actually used the video to prove that there was a discrepancy, and the fair thing, I mean, he wasn't the pure winner, I wasn't the pure winner, so we reran it, and I don't know what the outcome really is. I think he red lighted again.
He red lighted this time, 7:39 for you, though.
Thank you.
What a great competitor. Bob Glidden going over to Carlos Gonzalez to congratulate him. They had to go to the line twice to settle it, but now that's going to bring us back to where we began with this escapade. As we said, it took 2 runs to get Bob Glidden all the way back to this opportunity he has now, John.
That's correct. We're back at quarterfinal racing, and now it's Terry Adams in a Pontiac Trans Am against Glidden in the Motorcraft Quality Parts Ford Thunderbird. There's Adams, Trans Am, staging. On the spectator side of the drag strip, Glidden right beside him in a 500 cubic inch Ford. We're ready to drag race. They're in the stage. Now this is a very ticklish process. 7.5 inches between them and a red light. Motors come up as they ease in. Glidden now coming in. There he's in. Now the motor's up green. Out of the chute they go. Glidden out 1100ths of a second in the lead. And it looks like he's got that Trans Am gathered in well. Glidden wins at the quarter mile.
There's the ET, 7.452, 27.50 miles per hour.
To recap the quarterfinals, Tim Neighbors advances in his Chevrolet, Warren Johnson in his Oldsmobile. The Fords of Bob Glidden and Ricky Smith are in the semifinal, and the Motorplex have lane choice.
And the crowd is on their feet. The funny car quarterfinals are next on ESPN.
Part of it. I know it's only been a year. That doesn't make me a bad person. I want what's new, and I want it now. I lease my car for all the advantages, but getting out of a lease is usually expensive. Then I talked to Pat Shea at Tustin Auto Leasing. She made it easy. If you want out of your lease or want into a new lease, call Tustin Auto Leasing.
The Fairway family has sold or leased over 126,000 vehicles and is still counting. Our #1 goal is customer satisfaction. We've been putting satisfied buyers into new and used vehicles since 1965. Fairway Ford is offering a selection of F-250 custom pickups at only $99.85, equipped with AM/FM stereo and clock, auxiliary fuel tank, sliding rear window, heavy-duty suspension, and much more. We're just 2 miles east of the 57 freeway on Yorba Linda Boulevard in Placentia. We'd like you to become a member of the Fairway family.
Darlington International Dragway. Pat Patterson along with John Lundberg and Brett Kepner, and it's the funny car quarterfinals.
Here's Kenny Bernstein with a hash up on the Budweiser King Buick. We now look at D.A. Santucci's beautiful Black Magic Ford Thunderbird.
You know, Bernstein's had his problems, John, but he really needs a good run in this one.
There's no doubt about that. He, however, has qualified third in the quickest field in IHRA drag racing history, and he now walks in to face D.A. Santucci, who we now see staging in the spectator lane. As the two cars move to the starting line, remember when the deep staging light goes on, they're just 7.5 inches from a red light, and they're controlling 3,000 horsepower. Now we get them. Out of the chute they go, and Bernstein's off on a beautiful pass. Santucci drives around a little bit, and Bernstein wins.
And the Budweiser Quaker State sponsored car, 5.407, the miles per hour, 267.06 for Kenny Bernstein. And what a crowd pleaser he has been here in Darlington, John.
Backing in from a burnout now, Trip Shoemake, Phoenix, Arizona. You're looking at the Chief Auto Parts 1987 Oldsmobile. We'll tell you a story about that later. Now Brad Tuttle rolls into stage, former boat racer from Hesperia, California, in the Nitro Bandit. They move into stage. Dave Settles motions his driver, Trip Shoemake, back in professional funny car drag racing after a 5-year hiatus. The Nitro Bandit of Brad Tuttle. Just 2 years ago, Tuttle was racing boats at 200 miles per hour on the water. Now he's at 260 miles per hour on cement and asphalt here at Darlington International Dragway. Out of the chute they go. Shoemake, beautiful start. Tuttle drives around a little bit. Shoemake drives right, wins at the end of the quarter mile.
Well, one of the men that's looking to get a win is the next one up, the 1987 World Funny Car Champion, Mark Oswald. We'll watch him go in a moment. Brett Kepner's with him in the pits.
Only 12 months ago, this event turned into an absolute nightmare for one of the toughest machines ever to hit the IHRA National Event Trail. The Ford Thunderbird of Paul Candice and Leonard Hughes, driven by Mark Oswald, experienced one of the most unbelievable supercharger explosions in recent history. And Mark, it's got to bring a little deja vu back to come here.
Yeah, it does. In fact, we went home last week and got a whole new body ready for this car just in case.
Well, obviously the car has been running incredibly strong, and so far with 550s in qualifying, the car looks like it can even run stronger.
Yeah, we got here a little late because of mounting that body, and we rolled right out with the 550, and it was real soft, so we feel pretty confident we can improve it from there.
This racetrack is prepared probably better than any other in IHRA history, and it seems like it can hold a lot more.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's the best I've ever seen it, you know, in the last 5 or 6 years.
He's a 4-time world champion. He'll go up against Ed the Ace McCullough, John.
At the top of your screen, that is Mark Oswald and the Candies and Hughes Ford Thunderbird. At the bottom of your screen, pushing his nose into your way now, the Miller High Life Oldsmobile of Ed the Ace McCullough. The two cars are staged and ready to move. Green light, out they go. Too much horsepower for Oswald. McCullough off on a nice pass and wins.
And he does. 5.695, 256.41 miles per hour from the Miller pilot, Ed the Ace McCullough. And that's going to get him up to the semifinals. Now we come back. John Force up against Scott Coletta. And what a story Scott Coletta is.
Got a brand new body on his car this year, Pat. The body weighs just 76 pounds. Carbon fiber, fiberglass, and plastic. It's beautiful. Nosing his way into the bottom of your screen now. Currently the quickest man in drag racing at 5:34, John Force. Scott Coletta is now staged on the spectator side of the drag strip. On the left side of your screen now, the right, John Force ready to go. Out of the chute they move. Force does beautifully. The clutch works well. Force wins. The elapsed time for John Force, 5.403, 268.65 miles per hour.
So, advancing to the semis, Bernstein moves up. Shoemake, Ed McCullough, and John Force. We've got 4 drag racing from Darlington International Dragway here on ESPN. Up next.
Introducing the incredible Swiss dry cooker. A simple, powerful design gives you crisp, deep-fried goodness with just a drop of oil. The secret of the dry cooker is this patented hot air tower. Superheated air rushes up, circulates around food, cooking quickly, evenly. Put chicken in the dry cooker, and it's surrounded only by naturally flavored, superheated air. With only a drop of oil, turn out crispy, perfect frozen French fries and fish sticks. Dry cook hot dogs and they taste like they've been barbecued over a hickory fire, but that's still just the beginning. Dry cook vegetables without boiling or steaming. You can dry roast nuts or prepare a mouth-watering roast. Order now on this special TV offer for just $19.95. Here's how to order.
Use your credit card and call toll-free. 1-800-922-4400. That's 1-800-922-4400. You can also save the COD charges by sending $19.95 plus $4 for shipping to Cooker, Box 8900-S, Buffalo Grove, Illinois. That's Cooker, Box 8900-S, Buffalo Grove, Illinois.
Before the government gets hold of your tax return, maybe you should get hold of the Wall Street Journal. After all, it's your money. At least for the time being.
Call 800-372-3000 for this great journal subscription offer. 13 weeks for just $29.75 with a money-back guarantee. 13 weeks, $29.75. Phone 800-372-3000 now for the Wall Street Journal.
Welcome back to Darlington International Dragway. John Lundberg here with Pat Patterson and Brett Kepner. It's the quarterfinals of Top Fuel Eliminator.
And a great race we've got. Dennis Purcell, Minneapolis, Minnesota, his home, against Bill Mullins out of Pelham, Alabama. There's Mullins there in your screen. What a story he is, a bodybuilder. He crew chiefs his own car, and the two of them are ready to just about go to the line. Dennis Purcell has had a great preseason, and he looks for a great year in IHRA. Both cars now pulling up to the line. You'll see him get those 2 wheels up to stage those lights. Get ready for this drag race.
At the top of your screen, Bill Mullins, Pelham, Alabama, already staged. At the bottom of your screen, coming in, Dennis Purcell, qualified halfway through the quickest field in IHRA history with a 5:48.3, number 8 qualifying spot. Now it's time to drag race as Purcell is staged the Cable Value Network race car. We look right at them as they're ready to go. 3 green, out of the chute they go. Foul by Bill Mullins, and here comes Dennis Purcell, the winner.
And a good time, 5.311, 267.85 miles per hour. And it's only the 3rd time that this sponsor and this new car have been together, and this combination seems to be working with a good run this afternoon. Now, back at the line, out of Stockbridge, Georgia, Richard Holcomb against Jack Ostrander out of Pontiac, Michigan. John, this is a good matchup.
No doubt about it. Ostrander did very well in IHRA competition last year. Look at the extreme narrow rear end and the extreme engine setback on Holcomb's car as this unusual Clayton Harris design comes to the starting line to stay. Now, the crew members are holding their ears. I want you to notice the extreme heat in Holcomb's engine as he and Ostrander get ready to drag race. Ostrander out first. Beautiful pass. Holcomb in the lead. Ostrander out as he blows head gaskets. Holcomb wins.
And Holcomb does win. When the chutes come out, look at all the smoke that pours out of the rear of that car. That crew is going to have to do a lot of work to get ready for the semis. Right now, let's go to a Quaker State Quick Fact.
Each and every year when the IHRA Championship drag racing season gets underway, each and every competitor in the pits has the latest in high-performance tricks, and this is one of the newest. This is the brand-new 2-stage clutch pressure plate being utilized by Dan Pastorini's Coors Light Silver Bullet Top Fuel Dragster. This unit, prepared by Tony and Lanny McGleasy of L&T Clutches, is one of the most unique. It has not one, but 2 different stages of pressure being applied to the clutch itself during the run. It's what's known as a lock-up clutch, and by manually operating a button in the cockpit, the driver of this particular machine can actuate 50% more pressure to the clutch to minimize the slippage that wastes horsepower going down the racetrack. Now, some of the machines campaigning here today have even more stages of clutch pressure, 3 different stages that are actuated in the cockpit during the run manually by the driver. In any case, it is this clutch pressure plate that many people feel responsible for the incredible performances we're seeing here at the beginning of the 88 season and expect it to get even better. And by the way, this brand new little piece of high performance will cost a mere $6,500.
Well, I'll be out to buy mine tomorrow. Now we're back to the line, and it's John Kerry against the Snowman, Gene Snow. John?
Gene Snow, #1 qualifier in the program at 5.196, has his computer on as he stages the airplane front-wheel car at the bottom of your screen. Against him, John Kerry runs a diesel repair garage in Dover, Delaware. Let's see if Kerry can stand in against the Fort Worth World Top Fuel Champion. We're ready to drag race. Out of the chute they go. Snow wire to wire. Beautiful lead. Snow at speed wins the race. The elapsed time for the Snowman, 5.221, 247.25.
Fort Worth, Texas, Gene Snow advances into the semis. Now we go back to the line where Dan Pastorini will square off against Joe Amato. John?
Yes, Pat, we're about to find out if that $6,500 investment that Pastorini made at the beginning of the season is going to be worth it. The computer is on. He's ready to race. He's the aluminum wheel vehicle at the top of your screen. Against him, of course, Joe Amato, Old Forge, Pennsylvania. Acknowledged as one of the top drag racers in the sport today. Green, out of the chute they go. Pastorini moves beautifully. But in the mid-range, there goes Amato, and he wins.
Give it to him at 5.273, 278.63 miles an hour for Joe Amato. And record crowds have been on their feet all day here in Darlington. We've got more drag racing action from Darlington International Dragway coming up next.
Quaker State, the big Q stands for quality.
We engineer quality into every drop of Quaker State motor oil. Only Quaker State has QSX, an advanced formula proven to run clean for unbeatable protection from wear and tear.
Before our oil's good enough for your car, we prove that it works in our car.
Quaker State quality. We don't just talk about it, we live by it. Quaker State, the big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Why does the Ford Thunderbird of Pro Stock champion Bob Glidden race on Goodyear Eagles? Exclusively because of the way Goodyear Eagles respond to the track. And why does Ford choose Goodyear Eagle street radials for every new Thunderbird Turbo Coupe? A major reason is the Goodyear Eagle contact patch, where the car ultimately responds to the road. Goodyear Eagles, because there really is a difference.
Speed. For some, it's life. Racing is in the blood. To win, all parts must work to perfection. Last year, the Motorcraft team won 4 world championships with the same Motorcraft parts you can buy for your car. Motorcraft quality parts from Ford.
ESPN's April showers you with big events. Follow all the NHL Stanley Cup playoff action live and find out who your favorite team picks up in the NFL Draft. Live for the first time on a Sunday. ESPN's April picks up the pace with high-speed NASCAR excitement and major Kentucky Derby tune-ups, plus the Bausch & Lomb Championships and the season premiere of Arena Football, all in April on ESPN.
The Darlington International Dragway, Pat Patterson, along with John Lundberg and Brett Kepner. 12 races in the IHRA Series this year with Billy Meyer. Right now, it'll be the Pro Stock semifinals. Bob Glidden goes up against Tim Neighbors. John?
Well, Bob Glidden has had a remarkable series of reaction times this afternoon. Neighbors' last reaction time was a 1:16. Glidden with almost bracket racer reaction times of 0:29, some 900ths of a second quicker than Neighbors' last lead. Point is, Tim Neighbors is going to have to be very sharp on the starting line if he intends to beat the Motorcraft Ford to the finish line. Here we go, the big Chevrolet staging at the top of your screen. Right in front of you now, Bob Glidden of Whiteland, Indiana. Motorcraft Thunderbird in against Tim Neighbors, 500 cubic inch Chevrolet. They're staged and ready to move. Now, Neighbors is in deep stage first. Glidden taking his time to move in. We now take a look at them from the front. Glidden on the left, Neighbors on the right. We're now ready to drag race as Glidden is taking his time to stage. Notice the bottom 2 lights are now on. Out of the chute they go. Glidden, beautiful start. Neighbors brakes, and it's Bob Glidden on a virtual single pass down the quarter mile as the Thunderbird wins.
So it's a gimme for Bob Glidden. 7.424 miles per hour, 187.50 for the Motorcraft Ford Thunderbird. And there is Glidden's son, extremely excited about his dad's performance, as Glidden will take it back and get ready for the finals. And it's a tough afternoon for the number 4 qualifier, Tim Neighbors. Now, back at the line, a good matchup, Ricky Smith and Warren Johnson.
Smith, a 707 cubic inch Ford Pro Stock engine for this contest. Warren Johnson, a lighter car, 500 cubic inches of Hemi Oldsmobile, ready to drag race.
You know, Ricky Smith is the only driver in IHRA history to win world titles in both the sportsman and professional competition. He's quite a competitor.
He backs in right now, that big Motorcraft Quality Parts Ford Thunderbird, and Warren Johnson has been doing an excellent job here today. In the last round, Johnson left the starting line with a reaction time of 0:41. Smith out at 0:45, so they're very, very close. And believe me, most drag races are won in the first 300 feet, Pat, so reaction time does make a significant difference.
Well, it's a bid for the finals, and the two of them are ready to go, so let's see exactly what Ricky Smith and Warren Johnson have for this Darlington crowd.
As we move out of Warren Johnson's office, it's time to drag race Oldsmobile versus Motorcraft Thunderbird. They're ready to move. Deep stage, Johnson coming in second. Now ready. Great, out of the chute they go. Good start. Ricky Smith carries the wheels. Johnson right beside him. Watch the 700 cubic inches work. Here comes Smith, and he wins.
The King, North Carolina native posts an ET of 7.400, 197.67 miles per hour. The spectators aren't the only ones getting their money's worth this afternoon. Motorcraft's got 2 Ford Thunderbirds going into the final Pro Stock round. We'll be back with more exciting drag racing action here on ESPN.
CBS Video Library proudly presents the collector's edition of Star Trek. One of the best-loved television series ever made. The Menagerie, the only 2-part, 2-hour Star Trek episode, is your introduction to this classic collection.
I present myself to you for arrest. The charge is mutiny, Doctor.
You may return the Menagerie for a refund or keep it forever for just $4.95 plus shipping and handling. You'll receive future collector's edition cassettes, one about every 6 weeks, with 2 complete Star Trek episodes on each cassette to preview risk-free. Keep only the cassettes you want with 2 complete Star Trek episodes on each cassette for only $24.95 plus shipping and handling. No minimum to buy. Cancel at any time. To begin your Star Trek collection with the Menagerie, have your credit card ready and call now.
The easy touch up for spots and grime. Stick it, it takes no time. Brighten up chrome, clear foggy glass. Stick it, it's clean and fast. Stick it.
Car Stick, the first car care products in a stick applicator. They're not for cleaning your whole car. Just pick out the spot, hit it with a stick, and buff. That's it. The quick, clean, easy way to touch up your car. The Car Stick, for when you don't need to clean the whole thing.
Stick it.
It's time to get serious. The battle lines are drawn for the NHL's Cold War. ESPN presents live coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs through the championship finals. Watch for the Stanley Cup playoffs on ESPN. And the 50-yard indoor war returns. Every week, beginning Saturday night, April 30th, it's the hard-hitting action of arena football, live on the ESPN.
We're back in Darlington. John Lundberg, myself, Pat Patterson, and Brett Kepner along with you, and it's the Funny Car semifinals. You're looking at Trip Shoemake's car, the pilot of the Chief Auto Parts Oldsmobile. 3,500 horsepower under the hood there. Now Ed the Ace McCullough, the Miller High Life Oldsmobile over in the left lane, John.
Ed the Ace McCullough from Emmett, California, does his burnout. Notice that
he's got a problem on that car, John.
What has happened is that on the burnout, Pat, he lifted the supercharger. It blew the plates off the inside of the engine. Is off, the car comes to rest, and it looks like Trip Shoemake's going to get a single run down a quarter mile.
Well, this is a great break for Trip Shoemake, who's looking for a good run here at Darlington as he does his burnout. And Shoemake's a remarkable story. He didn't even have any idea that he'd be driving this car up until just a short while before the season started.
That's right. Billy Meyer, the owner and driver of the car, decided to retire just before the commencement of the '88 season. And we now see a dejected Ed McCullough walking away from the Miller High Life Oldsmobile back to the pit area.
That is a long walk, by the way.
Amen, it is. Now, Shoemake's got to make a very good run here. The pass is made for Loinchoice, and here he comes. Shoemake sprints the quarter mile at 5.441, 269.46.
That's a good run for Trip Shoemake. Maybe that particular run is going to get him in position in the finals that he wants to be in. Now back you see Ed McCullough's car, the crew attending it to it. That's difficult there because you work so hard to get this far along and now it's gone. Now we see Kenny Bernstein's car, a new body on this particular car. As Bernstein's crew gets him fired up, we'll go to Brett Kepner.
With the mandating of new body styles more closely configurative to stock bodies on funny cars of both the nitro-burning and alcohol-burning persuasions of 1988, Kenny Bernstein and the Budweiser King team have found that less downforce is making things a little bit tricky. Kenny, after last year's machine actually produced a little bit too much downforce, this one's just about the opposite.
Well, it is. Last year's car, as you said, the LeSabre with the box on the back had a lot of downforce. It was excellent on slick racetracks, but on good racetracks, it probably buried the tire a little too hard, as we found later in the season. The new car, the Buick Riata, is just the opposite. It doesn't have much on the back end because of the new rules, as you've said, and we don't have enough downforce. But we made a new configuration in the back spoiler. Dale Armstrong and Gary Wheeler came up with this after we tested it at Phoenix, and it helped quite a bit at Pomona.
Well, this machine is a relatively short body. There's not nearly as much overhang on either end of it. Does that affect the way the car handles its speed?
No, it doesn't really do too much. I think it's a little more trickier on the tracks that are marginal, obviously. We'll have to make it work there. On a good racetrack, it might accidentally go faster because it's not burying the back end as hard as the old car did.
Well, we're going to see if Bernstein does bury the back end there, as John Force will take him on in this round.
The burnout's complete. The car's back into stage. You're looking at John Force in the Castrol GTX Oldsmobile. Interesting point. He and Bernstein 0.03 of a second apart in reaction time in the last heat. Here's a rear quarter shot of the Budweiser King Buick Riata. You can see the confirmation in that smaller shovel-style rear spoiler. It's time to drag race. The cars are staged. Out of the chute, followed by Bernstein. And it's Force's drag race as down the quarter mile he moves in speed.
John Force with a great run, 5.454, 267.06, and that's something you rarely see Kenny Bernstein do, John, is make that mistake off the line. Now we're going to get a chance to look at it again.
They're staged, ready to go. Now watch Bernstein move. Red light on, Bernstein out. Force goes into the final round. Here's a different angle. Watch the right side of your screen. The cars are staged. Bernstein moves, red light on, and John Force gets a single run into the final round of Funny Car Eliminator.
And Brett Kepner's with John Force.
Well, John, you know you've got it in hand when you force Kenny Bernstein into a foul start. Even though they were evenly matched, you're in a 45.
Well, it's simple mathematics there. We figured this thing out where she's pretty close on and tried to step her up just a shade and shook a little bit. But, yeah, figured we had the edge. He had to do something and go for it, even in that lane over there.
It did look like it darted around a little bit, about 600 feet. Was that a problem?
Yeah, we moved around, and I didn't pedal it. I didn't know for sure if he had red light or not. I just thought, God, I must be awful late here. Made me a little nervous there. But, no, he took his foot out, so I figured something happened.
Okay, now you've got the left-hand lane for the final round, and that's been a problem for everybody.
I've been looking at the left-hand lane, and I don't know, I've seen them all day long. A couple guys smoked tires, but a couple guys ran fast there. Bernstein's car didn't appear to smoke the tires. I mean, it moved real hard.
It hazed just a bit.
Yeah, and I don't think we got a problem there either. I think the lanes are pretty close, and like to have that lane just because we run in it, but it doesn't matter. We'll get down her.
You're going to push it against the corporate machine then?
No doubt about it. You got to get some of that money back.
That sets the field for the Funny Car final between Trip and John Force. We've got more drag racing action yet to come here on ESPN.
The Holiday Inn of Anaheim invites you to visit Pickford's Pub, where there's always something good happening, like the daily Hungry Hour buffet. Enjoy great food along with drinks from the Super Well. Pickford's proudly serves the finest liquors and your favorite drinks. And Pickford's presents exciting entertainment 5 nights a week. Experience the moods of the Middle East every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Or enjoy lunch, dinner, or late snack in our restaurant. Pickford's Pub is the spot for your next evening out. Why not drop by tonight?
Dateline, City of Orange. Bill Ford's big 18th anniversary sale is in high gear. Register to win a free cruise for 2 to Mexico on the beautiful MS Southward, plus many other prizes. Villa Ford's offering you rock-bottom prices during this, their largest sale event of the year. Villa has 7.75% APR financing for 48 months on approved credit on Escorts and Aerostars, plus rebates on selected models. Celebrate now at Villa Ford, your 5-star Ford dealer. Exit Lincoln off the 55 freeway in Orange.
John Lundberg with Pat Patterson and Brett Kepner at Darlington for the semifinal round of Top Fuel Eliminator. You watch the Fort Worth, Texas-based fueler of Gene Snow begin the starting process. Starter now removed. Now the same process undergone for Dennis Forcell as the brand new Cable Value Network car. Only its 3rd race since the vehicle was completed. Now making it to the semifinal round of Top Fuel as Snow gets ready for his burnout. Snow really warming the tires this time. Here comes the same move by Dennis Forcell. Now Forcell probably has the harder duty here. He was 1/10 of a second slower previous round elapsed time than Snow. So he's got to have that car really ready to charge down the course. Snow is backed in. Now Larry Frazier directs his driver Dennis Forcell. The Cable Value Network Top Fuel Dragster. 3rd race for crew and combination. And a fruitful one it is. You see now the high RFI output, twin magneto ignition of the 500 cubic inch Top Fuel Dragster. As they now begin to stage, top of your screen, the full width aluminum front wheel of Dennis Forcell. The little 300 mile per hour rolling start aircraft wheels of Gene Snow's fueler point into stage. Frazier has just turned on the computer in the Cable Value Network racer. Now they race. Snow out in the lead, moves to the lead and retains it and wins.
And Gene Snow, ET 5.251, an excellent run for the Snowman out of Fort Worth, Texas. And we'll go back to the line in the semifinals and find Joe Amato up against Richard Holcomb. Now, Amato also having extremely good runs here at Darlington as he lights them up. Now, here's Richard Holcomb's car. Notice how close these rear tires are together. Brett Kepner had a chance to tell us exactly why.
For the past 25 years, Top Fuel dragsters and drag racing have been undergoing some serious chassis design changes. However, for the 1988 IHRA Championship drag racing season, Georgia's Richard Holcomb has gone to the extreme in trying to develop his Top Fuel dragster to the best of its aerodynamic abilities. Most important is the rear end of this car, by far the narrowest in the history of dragster racing. Only 7.5 inches between the inner walls of these massive rear Goodyear Eagle slicks, as opposed to last year where there was almost 2 feet of space behind the machine. One of the reasons to keep the tires this close is for extra traction, to get the tires in a fresh rubber groove, but there's a bigger difference. For years, these massive rear tires have been sticking out in the middle of the airflow at 250 miles per hour on each and every Top Fuel dragster. And Richard Holcomb and Clayton Harris, his crew chief, have figured, why not pull those tires in behind the exhaust headers of the engine through here to create a more aerodynamic airflow. The exhaust headers are already pushing air up over the tires. The air being distributed around the body goes out over the sides of the tires. There's less drag to kill the speed on this incredible machine. Now up front, there's something a little bit different as well. Almost 20 inches of wide open space between the roll cage and the engine. The reason is for the engine to be moved back for better weight transfer, better traction, therefore, up the starting line, and the driver out in front will keep the front end down. In other words, the car is equally balanced despite this huge open gap. Clayton Harris is a past IHRA record holder, and he told us why he picked some of these radical innovations for this car.
It reacts better so far. I've only got about 3 runs on the car. The tires narrow together, gives it a better traction, less rock to the engine as it leaves, less torque, and the distance between the roll cage adds to the driver's weight to the front wheels to keep the front end down. We've moved the engine to the rear to increase the load on the rear tires initially, and moving the driver forward helps keep the front end down without adding weight on the front axle.
While these innovations may make this dragster one of the most radical of the young 1988 season, if these new concepts work for Richard Holcomb and Clayton Harris, indeed, this may be the newest of the new breed of Top Fuel dragsters.
Thanks, Brett. Let's find out if the combination works as they stage to race. Joe Amato, bottom of the screen, Richard Holcomb, top of the screen. Look at the smoke coming off Holcomb's motor. They've been thrashing out of between rounds. The engine is very, very hot. They move into stage now. Out of the chute they go. Holcomb, too much horsepower, smokes the tires. Here comes Amato. He wins.
Joe with a great run. ET of 5.375, 271 miles an hour, John.
That means Snow has lane choice in the final by 0.12 of a second. We'll return with more IHRA Championship Drag Racing on ESPN Speed World following these messages.
Speed. For some, it's life. Racing is in the blood. To win, all parts must work to perfection. Last year, the Motorcraft team won 4 world championships with the same Motorcraft parts you can buy for your car. Motorcraft quality parts from Ford.
You'll find spark plug wires like these on racing engines all over the world. The Moroso Blue Max Spiral Core spark plug wires. Racing engine builders know that Blue Max Spiral Core delivers full voltage to the plugs without static interference. But what does that mean for your car? Blue Max Spiral Core. Plug wires from Moroso. Race proven.
ESPN's April showers you with big events. Follow all the NHL Stanley Cup playoff action live and find out who your favorite team picks up in the NFL Draft. Live for the first time on a Sunday. ESPN's April picks up the pace with high-speed NASCAR excitement and major Kentucky Derby tune-ups, plus the Bausch & Lomb Championships and the season premiere of Arena Football, all in April on ESPN. It's NASCAR's fastest half-mile track. Close quarters mean bumper-to-bumper excitement when Dale Earnhardt defends his Valleydale 500 title. Live Sunday afternoon on ESPN.
We're back at Darlington International Dragway. The All-Pro IHRA Winter Nationals have come down to these final rounds. This is the Pro Stock final, and it's double vision up there with 2 Motorcraft cars, John.
That's right. The 2 cars, Glidden and Smith, qualified 1,000th of a second apart at 7:37.6 and 7:37.7. They come into the final round 24 thousandths of a second apart in semifinal round elapsed time racing. Bob Glidden, winningest professional driver ever in the sport's history.
And he's got somewhat of a disadvantage, I'd say, John, going into this, being in the left lane. The right lane has been the faster lane all day.
That's true, and of course that means that you simply can never stop running for lane choice, and this man has won the lane by running the quickest. His name, Ricky Smith, 3-time IHRA world champion in the quarterfinals today, Pat. He set a new IHRA elapsed time record of 7.365 seconds. He's the world record holder.
Well, there's no doubt Ricky Smith would enjoy beating Bob Glidden, but, you know, for the sponsors' benefit, having both these guys up front, it truly is a good day for those guys.
Well, this certainly is marketing in motion for Motorcraft, and there's no doubt that this is going to be a very popular drag race with the crowd. Now we're looking at Bob Glidden as he rolls into stage his Motorcraft quality parts Ford Thunderbird, and here's Smith. How did they get there? Well, Glidden got there by beating Terry Adams and Tim Neighbors in the quarters and semis. Ricky Smith winds up in the final by beating 2 GM cars, Mark Clark and Warren Johnson.
Once again, lane choice may be the key to success in this race. Ricky Smith in that right-hand lane, the one that's been the most successful all day long, as you see him light his tires up. These two are just about ready to go at it.
Once again, Ricky Smith, the man you're looking at, 3-time IHRA world champion of drag racing, and here's Bob Glidden. This man has won more professional drag racing events than any man in the history of the sport, and he runs a Pro Stock Motorcraft Ford Thunderbird.
And I'll tell you another thing about Glidden, too. Nobody spends as much time on the road promoting his car, his team, and his sponsor than Bob Glidden.
Now it's time to drag race. The Motorcraft Quality Parts Ford Thunderbirds begin to stage. From Whiteland, Indiana, we have Bob Glidden. From King, North Carolina, the man in front of you now, Ricky Smith, as they roll into the staging beams. All right, Glidden is in. Smith coming into prime stage. Now Smith edges forward. He's in the forefront of your screen. The big 700 cubic inch Ford from King, North Carolina, ready to drag race.
The crowd's on their feet for this one, John.
No doubt about that. This is the Pro Stock Eliminator Final. Glidden staging last, now comes into deep stage very slowly. Taking time, maybe wanting to psych him out. Here we go. Green light, out of the chute they move. Smith with his front wheels up. Glidden gets a slight lead. Here comes 700 cubic inches of Thunderbird. Winner, Ricky Smith.
And you see the crew celebrating a great run, a close race. The big winner here, John, the sponsor. There you see it, the ET, 7.394, 190.27 miles per hour. Let's go back and take a look at it again.
And as we see the rerun, we need to remember this is a transition year. For this year, IHRA Pro Stockers can run at 2,350 pounds, 500 cubic inches, or at 2,600 pounds, 700 cubic inches, and they start to make the difference right now.
Well, there was the difference for Ricky Smith. Brett Kepner's with the winner.
Well, it may look like a bad case of double vision, but we've seen this one before. Ricky Smith, 739, 190 to Bob Glidden's losing 743.
Well, it was a matter of lane choice, and we got lane choice. That's the biggest thing that helped us there. I know Bob was going to give us a good run.
Now the funny car finals. That's Austin Coyle, the crew chief on John Force's machine. As the body's just about to go down, it'll be John Force against Trip Shoemaker.
All right, and you heard a rather unique sound as the Castrol GTX Jolly Rancher Oldsmobile started. They actually start this car in alcohol and switch it to nitromethane.
There you see John Force. He'll be in the left lane. That has been the discount lane. It's not been the place to be throughout these final eliminations. Force smokes the tires.
And notice the intensity of the burnout. Force knows he's in a lane that has not been the best all day long. He wants to make sure his tires and the entire car are ready. Here's Trip Shoemaker. In a funny car after a 5-year hiatus. The Chief Auto Parts 1988 Oldsmobile with a 1987 body on it. Shoemaker lost the 88 body in a very serious fire in Pomona, California just a few weeks ago. This is the 1987 body on the 1988 race car.
Here's how they got here. Trip Shoemaker eliminated Brad Tuttle and Ed McCullough, while Force knocked off Scott Coletta and Kenny Bernstein.
John Force is a brand new IHRA ET record holder. He set it in the quarterfinal round at 5.403 seconds as he defeated his first round competitor. The hatch up, blowing the smoke out of the cockpit as John Force has picked up a new sponsor for this race, the All-Pro Auto Parts people. Here comes the Castrol GTX Jolly Rancher Oldsmobile. Trip Shoemaker in the Chief Auto Parts Oldsmobile now moves forward to stage. Shoemaker has the right lane, or that which has seemed to be advantageous to racers there all weekend long. Staging very carefully, they move in. Now this is the dry hop. A funny car wants a lot more heat in its tires than a top fuel dragster. And so these dry hops are very indicative of two things. One, are the tires warm enough? And number two, is the clutch been properly set for this pass down the quarter mile? There you see the back end of the 1987 Forenza body. Trip Shoemaker is going to have to run this season as the 1988 Oldsmobile body again was fire damaged at Pomona, California. Dave Settles backs in as Austin Coyle moves John Force into stage. Pat?
I still have to think in that left lane that John Force is in, the transition, like we've talked about all day long, is going to be a big factor in whether or not he gets the kind of start he really needs here.
We're really going to have a test of a new innovation that Austin Coyle has brought to drag racing, and that is not a 9-finger clutch as earlier explained by Brett, but a very innovative 12-finger 4-step clutch. Starter Jim Blakely between the two cars. He's the Iron Man out here. He sells haberdashery during the week, and believe me, his suit of clothes this weekend is receiving severe damage. Blakely waits. The cars are staged. Out of the chute they go. Moving well. Trip Shoemaker smokes the tires, and Force gets sideways. At the end of the quarter mile, Force through first. Dave Settles thinks it's all over. And there's John Force coasting down at the end of the quarter mile. His parachute's out.
There's the ET, 5.983, 249.30.
Now, wait a minute. Something's happening here, Pat. Jim Blakely is moving up the side of the drag strip in Force's lane. We saw him get sideways.
He may have crossed the line on it.
That is correct. He may have committed an out-of-bounds foul. Let's watch it again. Force leaves the starting line, starts to make the transition, cement to asphalt, gets it sideways. You can see the front end come. There he goes, out of bounds. Page 113 of the IHRA rulebook, grounds for disqualification, touching the out-of-bounds marker. He did that. Now let's go to the end of the track, and Brett Kepner with John Force.
Well, I mean, she was around and moving, and, you know, we had to shoot our best shot at getting this guy, and evidently he went up in smoke because I never saw him. I just had my hands full, and then I got down here, someone said something about crossing no line. I thought you had to run into a wall. I need somebody to explain this to me.
As soon as we get the word, we'll let you know.
Thank you.
There's controversy in Darlington. We'll be back with Top Fuel Finals after this.
They're the biggest, most powerful monster trucks in the world, unleashing their awesome power in the hottest new home video, Return of the Monster Trucks. It's raw action on the first monster truck obstacle course ever, with Bigfoot, USA 1, Monster Vet, Rolling Thunder, and more. Plus exciting side-by-side car-crushing drag racing, unbelievable truck crunching. See Awesome Kong crush a mobile home. If you like the original Battle of the Monster Trucks, you'll love Return of the Monster Trucks. You won't believe your eyes as these monsters of the Midway take to the water, and much, much more. You've got to experience the ultimate crushing power and thundering action in this all-new video. Return of the Monster Trucks. It's not available in stores, so order yours today. It's dynamite. Call now, 1-800-554-7800 to get your copy of Return of the Monster Trucks for just $19.95 plus shipping and handling. Order now and get a monster toy truck at no extra cost. This awesome video is available only through this special offer. So call now, 1-800-554-7800. Save COD charges by using your Visa or MasterCard. Call now.
Quaker State, the big Q stands for quality. The engine in the new Quaker State Porsche IndyCar develops 750 horsepower, so it takes an oil this good to protect it. At 11,000 RPM, engine temperatures soar to 800 degrees. Quaker State's advanced QSX formula is proven to run clean for unbeatable protection. And the Quaker State that protects this engine on the track is the same Quaker State you buy right off the shelf. Quaker State, the big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
This is ESPN, the Total Sports Network.
We're back at Darlington International Dragway, and it's getting down to the end of this one. Pat Patterson, Brett Kepner, and John Lundberg. It's the Top Fuel Finals. Joe Amato out of Old Forge, Pennsylvania, the TRW Hearst Keystone entry, goes up against Gene Snow from Fort Worth, Texas. And John, I tell you, this is what the fans really came to see. It's the last big one here at Darlington.
Joe's in his final round a happy man. He has a new IHRA world speed record of 278.63 miles per hour, set and backed up today. Gene Snow has a reason to be happy. He has the new IHRA elapsed time record for Top Fuel dragsters at 5.196 seconds, set and backed up at this event. The former used car dealer from Fort Worth, Texas, now millionaire oil man, and 1987 Top Fuel dragster world champion prepares with this burnout. Here's Joe Amato. Amato in the spectator lane. Watch his burnout. Okay, Amato again, Pat, is perhaps concerned about the transition problem that we have discussed here this afternoon. Certain cars have been affected by it, certain cars have not. We just don't know. It's a matter of the individual combination. Snow backs into stage his Top Fuel dragster. How did they get here, Pat?
Well, Joe Amato knocked off Richard Holcomb and Dan Pastorini, while Gene Snow got the better of John Kerry and Dennis Forcell.
One of the top heads in the business is Tim Richards, crew chief on Joe Amato's Top Fuel dragster. And the Old Forge, Pennsylvania-based warehouse distributor backs in now. Final conversation with Tim Richards. He turns on the computer. You'll notice that Gene Snow's crewman is behind the driver's roll cage doing exactly the same thing. Snow pulls down his face mask. Now it's time to drag race. Interesting study in diversity here, Pat, with the difference in the size of the front wheels on these two dragsters. Richards, again, has now turned on Amato's computer. Amato staging at the top of your screen. Snow on the left side of your screen. Now onto the chute they go. Snow has a slight advantage. He presses it hard at the quarter mile. Gene Snow wins Top Fuel Eliminator.
And his crew is awfully happy with his performance here at Darlington. There you see Gene Snow's elapsed time, 5.242 miles per hour, 268.65. Let's look at it again, John.
All right, they stage. Snow leaves just a little bit better. You notice he gets a kind of his traction down, the clutch back working beautifully at mid-course, and the beautiful Texas Fueler wins Top Fuel Eliminator.
Well, Gene, you must have felt the car hesitate a little bit because it was obviously burning at least one piston coming through the finish line lights, but it doesn't matter. As you would say at this point, 524 to a 530, you win.
We had a good race. It was great. We really enjoyed it. Joe's the best competitor running around, and we enjoyed beating him, of course.
He was right there with it, yeah, and it didn't look like either car really shook or hazed very much at all.
No, we were surprised. The funny cars all got loose, and we thought we were going to have trouble.
Well, I'll tell you, this continues the Gene Snow streak. 88 is no different than 87, and you're already on your way to a second world title.
We're really pumped about it and enthused. Our crew's doing great. We haven't made any mistakes, and I think the potential's been there all the time.
Well, like I said, you never mind it when you hurt a few pieces in the final, so you should be happy.
That's when you sacrifice it to the gods. We really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Oh, man. It was good. We had a close one. Thank you.
Good race. Good job, Joe. Thank you.
What a great competitor. Gene Snow out of Fort Worth, Texas. He's going to be on another roll just like he was last year, winning the World Championship. There you see the crew taking his car away. A shot of the crowd as the sun starts to go down. Brett Kepner is caught up with John Force and Trip Shoemake.
Normally we do our finish line interviews at the finish line, but Trip, you're the winner of a very controversial decision.
It was controversial on his part, just right for me. I agree with the judges 100% that he was. Look down here, put the camera on his feet. See, he's over the center line again. There, it was close. Over the center line again. So obviously there's something wrong in his personality, but we had a good time. And John and I are good friends. We've been good friends for a long, long time.
Well, obviously it's going to stay that way. John, did you go out and look at the line at all to see the tire tracks?
Yeah, I went back. I know I was a little upset at the other end when they told me that, but rules are rules, and they showed me the rule book. I ate the page. I saw it, so crew's still a little upset. I'll probably still have to pay him, but that's the deal, and I'm really glad for IHRA here that the turnout was good, and if Billy Myers had been driving, I'd really been hot, but this guy here is my friend, and he did a good job, so I'm glad to be a part of it.
Well, Trip, congratulations, and this should kick off one of the wildest years of funny car racing ever.
See ya.
Yeah, John and I are good friends. Like I said, it was, I thought I'd lost. I pulled off the end down there, and in a short turn-off area, nobody down there. I got out, and I said, oh, man. The only time I smoked the tires in probably 2 or 3 weeks, and it does on start lines. But Dave, the crew chief, told me to hold the brake on, and I didn't hold it on hard enough. But, hey, I'll take it any way I can get them. I've lost a lot of them by that much before, so like I say, you saw the line, folks. I love it. I love it. I'm excited.
And Trip should love it. He goes in the record books as a winner here at Darlington. John, your thoughts?
What we've seen here is 5 new world records and the beginning of a new era in IHRA championship drag racing, where the keynotes are professionalism and great racing action. The records are these: the largest crowd in the history of the drag race. Top fuel elapsed time, 5.196 seconds. Top fuel mile per hour, 278.63. Funny car elapsed time, 5.403. Top alcohol funny car, top speed, 227.27. Pro stock elapsed time, 7.365. Pat?
Well, the big winners again were the fans here in Darlington, and of course Billy Meyer's initial move with the IHRA. Brett Kepner, your thoughts?
Regardless of the restructuring of the new IHRA, obviously the racers have proven that the drivers that won in the old IHRA can do it in 1988 as well. Gene Snow continues his domination of Top Fuel in IHRA racing, and of course Ricky Smith and Bob Glidden have never really ended their rivalry in this particular Pro Stock category. However, the funny car final was probably one of the most controversial we've seen in quite some time, and that will probably linger over the next few races as the World Championship points battle is thrown up for grabs. In any case, we'll be seeing a lot more of this kind of incredible action on ESPN's coverage of IHRA National Championship events in 1988. Back to you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Brett Kepner. What a great event we've seen, and it's only just the beginning. 12 of these events here on ESPN. We hope that you'll be with us. My thanks go out to Brett Kepner and John Lundberg. From Darlington, I'm Pat Patterson saying so long. This IHRA Drag Racing Special has been brought to you by Quaker State. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will. And by Anheuser-Busch, makers of Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. And by Motorcraft, quality parts for quality cars. And by Goodyear Eagle Tires. Goodyear, because there really is a difference.